Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan. I want to welcome you to this show where we share some wisdom, a little bit of wit, and some wonderful experts to help women navigate career and life changes and challenges. And most importantly, to let you know that you are not alone. You are never alone. Each week, through our conversations, we encourage women to be more confident, resilient, and brave in their career and life choices. And we stream this show live weekly every Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific time on the E360 TV network. And you can find that on all of your streaming services like Roku and Apple TV and Amazon Fire. And we go live simultaneously on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, where you can interact with us as well. And if you prefer to listen to your favorite shows, you can also find us on all the podcast channels. So if something resonates with you today and you want more, please subscribe to your favorite channel. Leave us a comment and share your favorite episode so we can create more ripples around the world for women. So we talk about leadership a lot on this show because how we show up personally and professionally matters. And like so many other things in this life, it's an inside job. So today we're going to explore the depths of effective leadership and how it intersects with self-understanding. It's a topic some of my clients struggle with, so I want to explore it deeply on this show. And today, my guest comes to us from Switzerland. She is Ivona Hirschi, whose impressive career spans over 12 years in senior and leadership roles across international companies, from startups to multinational corporations. She's an authority in leadership training, employee engagement, and organizational culture, and actively contributes to the management community leadlink, supporting over 1,600 leaders weekly. With her organizational development and sociology background, Ivona brings unique insights into this often overlooked aspect of leadership, the part that starts with knowing who you are, what you value, and how to become what you need to be as a great leader. I hope you'll walk away with some insights of your own on how to transform the way you perceive and practice leadership. Welcome, Ivona. How are you? Thank you for coming today.
Hello, I'm very happy to be here. I'm excited to have this conversation and I'm doing well. How are you, Maria?
I am very well too. It's evening where you are, it's morning where we are, and we are an ocean away. And I really
Yes.
appreciate your being here on your evening. So I want to get started. I want to dig into the idea of understanding yourself and how it aligns with maybe traditional notions of leadership.
hmm hmm Yes, that's a great question. Thank you for that. So, when you think about leadership, often people try to come up with the idea what is a good leader, and then you link it back to management versus leadership. And that distinction is somehow being quite commonly shown on social media, and it usually comes to the fact that management is bad, leadership is good. But I have to always ask, is it is it leadership better than management? Because all it comes down to actually self-understanding and understanding who you are and how you work with people. So if we think about traditional leadership, we actually think about people being led by someone, and this leader is supposed to be strong, supposed to have a good communication, and especially being inspiring figure. But does it have to be only for title of leadership, or anyone can be a leader? And I believe that anyone can be a leader as long as you understand yourself. And obviously that's a lifelong journey. So to me, I always say start your leadership journey with understanding yourself.
I love that. Because it is so true. I wasn't kidding when I described it as an inside job. Very often we see memes out there in social media saying, happiness is an inside job. Well, so are so many things, including leadership. And
Yes,
I agree with you that personal leadership, it starts there with
yes.
with knowing who we are and what matters most to us. So
Mhm,
let's talk about um, prioritizing your well-being and growth.
mhm,
And I'd love to hear some stories from you about how that prioritizing your well-being and growth has positively impacted
mhm,
your ability to lead and influence others.
mhm. Yes, I definitely have a couple of stories I can share.
Good.
So, when I studied, I was definitely fascinated by the whole organizational development, and I really wanted to work in that field. However, being a fresh graduate, no one wanted to hire me. So they said, you don't have experience, you don't know what it is to work with people, to be in management role, to maybe be in corporate world. So I was like, okay, that's fine. Therefore, I started my career and I joined and become basically analyst. But with that, I understood that I can actually grow in that role, and quite quickly I could climb the ladder. And that understanding that there is the choice that you consciously make and that you work towards some goal, that is really what is making the first step in your growth. So many people, they feel, oh, the door is closed and I cannot do it. No, yes, you can. You just have to decide and take some steps to achieve that. So very quickly, back to my story, I was able to achieve management role super quick. And then I finally had my team and could really explore what it is to lead people and to work with them efficiently. And yet again, I said it before, you can be good or you can be bad, but when you start, most likely you are going to be bad. Let's be transparent, let's be honest. You're making a lot of mistakes on the way. And again, the acceptance of those mistakes, you basically say, fine, I'm learning, I acknowledge these mistakes, and then you can grow. So I'll give you an example on one-to-one meeting. I actually said to one of my coworkers that I was disappointed with them. And that was such a strong emotional statement that nowadays I'm really embarrassed about, saying even such thing. But it helped me to understand that communication really is supposed to be sensitive and it's not supposed to be emotionally driven when you lead people, because you're not trying to hurt them, you're not trying to put them down, but the way how you say it and the way how you mean it is making a lot of difference. So again, understanding the impact of your communication is what is making the difference and making you a good leader. And again, if you acknowledge these mistakes, if you apologize for what you have done in the past, that's again the path to growth.
Yes, that is so true, isn't it? Because we learned from our mistakes, and if we are vulnerable
Yes.
about them and we own up to them,
Mhm.
and we're honest and authentic about it, um, it it puts us in on a firm foundation
Yes.
for people to understand
Hmm.
who we are, what matters to us, and that we care
Hmm.
about
Absolutely.
how we affect others in
Hmm.
what we do, what we say.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. So when you realize that you made a mistake, that you really said something that you shouldn't have, well, go back, apologize or try to say, well, I didn't mean it that way. I didn't try to put you down. I
right.
was just a bit over the top at that moment. And again, you will come more human than when you just try to play it cool and just not react at all and just say, yeah, this is how I communicate. And again, that shows you don't care. And
Right.
probably we agree that leadership is about caring about others.
Right. I love what you just said about that too. It makes you more human. And that's who we are, right? We
Mhm,
are all here, human beings, all of us,
mhm,
on our own personal journeys and on collective journeys when we are part of a corporate organization, a team, and caring about each other, and having empathy and compassion
Yes.
makes us human. It doesn't make us weak.
No, no, you're right. I worked with different managers, with different leaders, and I find that this is really relevant topic because for, okay, let's talk a little bit gender. For men, being vulnerable can be difficult because they feel they would lose authority. For
Hmm.
women, well, it maybe comes a little bit more naturally, but again, they don't want to look emotional. So having that balance between how you want to show up and how you feel about that yourself, that is something again on the journey to your own growth. Because saying I was wrong, saying look, I'm dealing with my daughter is ill and I'm just not focused at all. I cannot have valid and good one-to-ones. That's just how it is. You don't have to do everything. You can be open about what is happening. But
Right.
again, not everyone is able to do it. Again, you sometimes try to have some facade the moment you come to the office. Is it correct? I'm not quite sure. I still feel that direct communication works better in leadership for you and for others as well.
I think it works better for humans.
Yes.
Right. I mean, it really does come down to that. And I was having this conversation with someone the other day about um, how the culture that we create within an organization needs to start from the top down,
Yes.
but that cascade effect,
Hmm.
the ripple effect that happens when we hear from the top
Yeah.
that it's okay to be human, right?
Hmm.
We want authenticity. We want you to be open and honest, and if you make a mistake, own up to it, and let's fix it together. We're all solution providers here.
Yes.
Yeah, so it when it happens that it comes down from the top that this is a
Hmm.
safe place to be human,
Hmm.
right? And to learn so that we can grow,
Hmm.
then we don't harbor
Hmm.
all those emotions that can come up for us because we're dealing with life
Hmm.
and we are at work.
Yes, yes, you're completely right. I really like what you said that you connected life and work because somehow it feels sometimes completely disconnected.
Yeah.
So when you apply for a job, you apply for a set of criteria, but there's nothing about how you will handle difficult situations and how much flexibility they can give you if you, for instance, have to attend a funeral, if you have some trouble with your partner, if you're going through very difficult illness.
Hmm.
But those are really things that are happening. Basically, that's life, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
So really
Yeah.
understanding that people have more than just job criteria and performance reviews and one-to-ones, but they have more in life. That's super important, and it's basically some stuff that you should be able to discuss. Obviously, you don't have to go into too many intimate details, but you should know what is
Right.
happening because then you have the explanation why someone is distracted, why there are some problems on project. And again, you can deal with it, you can help, you can have that understanding and have that understanding of yourself and
Right.
how you should basically deal with it. So not to be strict, not to tell them off, not to give them negative feedback, but rather embrace the situation and deal with it as a team.
And we have to create that safe space where that
Absolutely.
can
Mhm.
happen, right? So that we don't close ourselves off when
Absolutely.
we are at work and feel and compartmentalize to the point of to our detriment, right?
Mhm, mhm.
And
Absolutely.
and because those emotions are going to come out somewhere, and usually when
They
we're
do.
stuffing them down, right, they're going to come out in the most inopportune time, and in an inappropriate way, perhaps.
Mhm.
So making it safe for people to be human and to share what's
Mhm.
going on in their lives that might affect their work. Um,
Absolutely.
and
Mhm.
and leaders, good leaders can create that environment where that is
Mhm.
an acceptable thing to do.
Yes, I completely agree with you. It is about creating that environment. And speaking about that, if you are a leader and you are dealing with difficult emotions, don't vent them, on someone else. It could be that you just didn't get a mortgage on your dream house and you're really frustrated. So it's super wrong when you just go to work and you pick one coworker and just scold him down
Yeah,
to vent your frustration. It's
right,
it's happening in real time all the time that people are frustrated or angry, but not because of the actual work.
right, right.
So again, understanding your emotions and the fact that no, today I'm not feeling well. So let's not have that meeting because I know I wouldn't perform. I know that I could be maybe harsh or that I
Yeah,
would look that I'm distracted, that I'm just not focusing on what people are saying, that I'm not listening.
right. Yeah,
That's terribly wrong if you feel that you are in that state and you still try to do everything. So, back again, understanding yourself is the bottom line of everything.
yeah, and being open to being vulnerable,
Yes, absolutely.
right? And that takes some courage. And again, it also takes that an environment that welcomes that at
Hmm.
least acknowledges that it's going to happen. This is who we are.
Hmm.
All right, let's talk about some ways that we can focus on self improvement and self awareness,
Hmm.
and how those ways can contribute to becoming a more effective leader. Let's talk
Hmm.
about
Self-awareness is a huge topic in emotional intelligence. It's, I would say, past 20 years, it's really pushing through, and I'm very happy about that. I'm not saying no. And again, it's a journey. So obviously, if you think about self-awareness, you might think, what is it? Is it the voice inside of my head? Or is it the way how people perceive me, so the feedback you are receiving? And in fact, it's kind of a little bit of everything, but it is a lot about, exploring yourself in a way that you understand how you react in certain situations. So you basically are able to see some patterns in your behavior. So you know what makes you happy, you know what makes you angry, and you understand those triggers. And you know when those are happening, then the reaction will be XYZ. So, how you can find out what it is? A quite good way is journaling. So, you just write a diary of your day and say, oh, I felt like this was happening. And then maybe in retrospective, you're able to see, aha, so I was reacting like this. Now I'm not happy about it. Can I change it next time? Obviously, good way to understand yourself and good strategy is to ask for feedback.
Mhm.
So you think I come up as an expert and I somehow feel people are listening to me, but do they? Do they take you seriously? And if they don't, why? Is it how you are dressed? Is it the way how you speak? Or even maybe jokes that are not appropriate? So feedback is another good strategy how you can explore what you are or how you actually come to that conclusion, how people are basically perceiving you. So then you can evaluate, oh, why do I look like that? And then again, you are a bit more aware about how you just show up yourself sometimes. Another good strategy how you can explore that self-awareness is obviously reading and doing a bit more, maybe meditation and exploring your emotions and really work on your inner self. Obviously there's tons of materials that you can read, and always you just take one or two things, you can apply it and see, aha, this makes me happy, this makes me more balanced, this is what I want. So reading is another great way how you can basically explore yourself.
I love those three ideas. And the goal here is just to become more self-aware
Mm-hmm.
of how you respond in certain situations,
Mm-hmm.
how you what you think, how you feel, and
Mm-hmm.
like you said, the triggers that maybe set you off.
Mm-hmm.
When you're aware about yourself and your responses to those internally as well as externally, and how you communicate those, how
Mm-hmm.
your body language, even, right?
Yes.
It's so important to be aware of those things
Mm-hmm.
because that's the only way that you
Mm-hmm.
can change them.
Yes, or
Whether,
manage them.
right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. So, it's a first step in the whole process. So if you are self-aware, then you can change it. You can choose how you will react
You
next
can
time.
choose.
So
Yeah,
ideally, you have some difficult conversation coming up, and you mentally prepare for it, and you also emotionally prepare for it. So not only how you want to talk, but also how you want to feel. So if you
right,
go to your boss and you want to ask for pay raise, maybe you feel a little bit uncomfortable and you feel he's going to say no. So if you go with that mindset to that meeting, well, probably the outcome will be that yes, you were uncomfortable and the answer was no. However, if you rather go maybe with the open mind, with positive feeling, then maybe your negotiation will end up completely different. Maybe it's going to be still no, but there could be some no if, but it's no, but what if we do this? You are always able to
right.
find some other ways, but you just have to
Yeah.
ask and be comfortable with asking as well.
Yeah,
So,
and I think too, if you prepare
mhm,
for the possibilities, right,
yeah,
and be prepared with uh,
mhm,
your own, in this case, going in to ask for a raise.
mhm,
If you're prepared with why, right?
yes,
What have you done? What have been your accomplishments? What is the value you bring? What is the impact you've had?
mhm, mhm,
Right? And you can state your case in a way that potentially puts the your manager that you're speaking to,
mhm,
um, puts them maybe a little bit off their game because they weren't expecting you to come in so
mhm.
well prepared, and you've made a good point. Well, maybe you can turn it around. I love what you say. If you go in with an open mind and prepared
Mhm,
for
mhm.
whatever the conversation is that makes you feel uncomfortable.
Yes, you're right. The preparation is super important. So another example that I was physically there. So one manager was talking to subordinate about performance review. And they usually give you some mark from, let's say, 1 not being satisfactory to 5 being completely the rock star of the company. So this employee, she got 3. And she asked why. Because she said, I did extra mile, I delivered all my projects, I really built some good relationships. So why do you think that I'm 3? I feel like 4. And that manager was so flushed that he was unable to justify his decision. Why did he put 3? So that moment, you could have said that he was pretty hijacked at that moment. And again, as a manager or as a leader or anyone, when you go to such meetings, you should have answers. And you should be ready that sometimes people, they don't agree with you.
Yep.
And when you know that, okay, I don't like people disagreeing with me, I'm usually getting hijacked, then the moment you realize, oh, it's getting on me, then you can just say, oh, okay, one deep breath, going down, and then you continue the discussion rather than being like, oh, okay, let's discuss it later. And that
Yeah.
makes a lot of difference because you have so many surprises and so many troubleshooting every day. So again, be aware of different outcome of
Yeah.
what you are saying, of your communication. It could be positive,
Yeah.
it could be negative, it could
Yeah.
be really hyped up, but just be ready for these responses to handle them.
Right. I think another part of this is I was having this conversation with a client yesterday. The
Mhm.
way we learn to communicate so that we are seen and heard, and learning how others communicate so
Yes.
that we can speak to be understood
Mm-hmm.
is a skill that leaders of personal leaders as well as professional leaders um, could benefit from
Yes. Mm-hmm.
largely. It impacts everything we do because we are communicators, all of us.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
how we get what we want. It's how we help. It's how we do everything, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
communicating in one way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
So if we understand how we communicate, how we need to be communicated to,
Mm-hmm.
and how others need to be communicated to in
Mm-hmm.
order to be heard and understood.
Yes.
That's a set of skills I work on with my clients all the time, but those that comes into this conversation in a big way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see your point. I completely agree again because leadership, well, what is leadership? It's really communication, but it's communication with people.
Yep.
And those people are usually somehow working together in some team and they work for you or with you.
Yeah.
So that's really what it is about. Well, obviously, leadership could be in any other team or any other setup, but it's always some sort of group communication. So if you can master that, fine, then you are doing really good job. But then for leadership, it's very important to not to really take care about the titles and to realize that anyone can be a leader in that sense that you can learn actively communicate about yourself, about your needs, but also about fulfilling other needs. So, being open, maybe show a bit of proactivity, show a little bit of care. That doesn't really sit with the title, that sits with your decision. And that's what a leadership is about when you start to think about it. It's that self-awareness, that self-management, understanding of others. You mentioned empathy, another great communication skill. So it all somehow wraps up together.
Yes. And it just occurred to me that communication piece, it starts with how we communicate with
Mm-hmm.
ourselves is positive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then it's very difficult for us to be positive communicators to others.
Yes, you're right. So I had a couple of clients dealing with imposter syndrome, which
Yeah.
ultimately is that you have that little nitty picky voice in your head telling you you're not good enough. So although you are doing extremely great job, inside of your head you still feel you have to prove yourself and you're not good enough. And that's such a troubling thing. Many
Yeah.
people, and especially also women, are going through that. We just have to educate a little bit more others to say, well, you have to have that positive self-talk. You have to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Even if you make horrible mistake, anything can be fixed. So
Right.
yeah, self-awareness is a huge topic also
Yeah.
for your confidence and for your life well-being and in general happiness.
Yeah. And it affects how we think about how we talk to ourselves, right?
Mhm.
Be kind, first of all.
Yeah.
But how we talk to ourselves affects how we show up.
Yes.
So if we're feeling and thinking that we're not good enough for this role,
Mhm.
it's going to come through.
It
Other
does. Yeah.
people are going to see that self-doubt,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
they're not going to they're not going to follow that lead, right? Right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, there's so much here that we could be talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Just
Yeah.
somehow how we are now discussing it, maybe one thing to mention again is a little bit of victim mindset some people adopt to kind of show that, well, it's happening to me and I am just a victim of the situation. And again, that tells me that this person doesn't have a high self-awareness. Because if
Right.
you are saying that people are, making your job difficult, that your clients are horrible, that you have short deadlines or someone didn't deliver and now you're struggling, well, you're somehow taking your responsibility off your shoulders. Well, it's always about how you decide to show up, as you just mentioned.
Mm, right,
Mhm.
right. So let's talk a little bit about when we talk about leaders having to uh, have self-awareness, know themselves, and do the internal work, right? The self work. Some might argue that um, putting oneself first in a
Mhm.
leadership role may lead to
Mm.
selfishness or a lack of empathy.
Mhm.
So, how can leaders balance working on themselves with the responsibility of considering the needs of their team and their organization?
Now, this is a really great question. So, indeed, many people feel that a leadership is about selfless selves, and that you are working for others, and that's completely right. However, you always need to consider your needs and your state, because at the end of the day, if you are not feeling well, then again it will show up and you're not going to do as much as you could for others. So balancing these two could be quite difficult, because obviously you don't want to look selfish, you don't want to cancel all the meetings anytime you just feel a little bit bad or maybe a little bit under weather. That depends. But what I usually recommend to people is to, just be true to yourself. So if you really feel bad, if you really feel that you need some time for yourself to think about strategy, just take the time. Because it's much better than to push through and then you realize, oh, I haven't done this, I haven't done that. And you put yourself under enormous stress. And what you don't want to do in leadership is to work under stress. So if you can learn to manage stress levels, then half of your job is really done in leadership, because then you are able to lead others and you know how to handle their stress and you can really help them then when you are unable to do it. So know yourself, how you react, know when it's too much. I
Mm,
think that's very important. When it's really the point of breaking down, the point when you can't do anything and you would be completely stuck in your mind. Then when you know you're just reaching that point, really take a step back and communicate that and say, hey, I need time for myself, I need to think through it, I don't have the answers, give me 1 hour, give me one day, I'll get back to you, rather than just push everything through. And obviously you always communicate, so you are never really selfish in a way that you are detached from others, because even if you communicate, I need time for myself, I need time off, or look, I just cannot follow now because simply I'm dealing with my own stuff, then you still communicate. And that I don't find selfish, but rather really, again, human, to say, well, this is how it is, maybe next week I'm going to be in a better shape so I can continue working on this. So that part of the communication is super important. So as long as you communicate that, then I don't find it selfish at all.
yeah, I so agree. The power of the pause is a very helpful thing, right, to use. And for you to say, no matter what role you're in, personal
Mhm,
leader or leader of a group, a team, an organization,
mhm,
when you say that, again, this is a vulnerability that you're
yes.
sharing, right? I don't have all the answers.
Mhm,
I need to think about this. I'm not really feeling well enough right now
sure.
to think this through clearly. So
Mhm,
I need a little time. So grant me the time, and
mhm,
I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'll get back to you tomorrow, whatever
mhm,
that is. And you're right. Communication is the key here.
mhm. Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to communicate. And, I don't know many really selfish people. So I can't imagine that leaders would be really selfish as long as you communicate. Sure, then you can have
As
other
long as you
people.
can, so yeah, you're right. It would be the one who says nothing, right?
Yes.
Doesn't respond, right?
Hmm.
Has just taken their time to, they've said to themselves, I need to think about this, but they haven't communicated that. Now
Hmm.
that's unresponsive,
It
right?
is. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that doesn't show great leadership. And it could be construed as selfish.
Hmm. Hmm.
It
Yep.
could be construed as, not being transparent or open.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, I think underlying all of this is no matter what's going on with us, as we become more self-aware, as we become better leaders from the inside out, right?
Hmm.
Leaders of ourselves, leaders of our people. Um, when we communicate what's going on, how we're feeling, what we're thinking, why we're doing something,
Hmm.
it makes the environment, the culture open,
Hmm.
transparent, um, communicative,
Hmm. Definitely safe as well.
safe. Yes. Yeah. That's and the leader can feel, um, and there's no judgment, right?
Hmm.
There's no judgment.
Hmm. Yeah, you summarized it pretty nicely. I really like what you have just said and extracted from this talk, because this is really what leadership is about. It's about the communication. And
Right.
obviously, as much as you say to yourself, I love my job, but I don't like this. As long as you communicate that, then you're avoiding being stressed and being frustrated. And the same goes with giving feedback to others. As long as you say, well, Ivona, what you delivered was a crap. I didn't like it because of XYZ. Then again, you're letting the steam out. You're able to maybe help even people to develop new skills, help them to see, well, what I thought was correct is not, and this is what I can learn out of it. Then this is how you are helping yourself, but also others. So don't let anything, just sit with you and be unhappy about it. Rather communicate. I
Right.
would say communicate rather more than less,
Oh,
especially these
absolutely.
days
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
everything is remote and you just have chat or Slack or Teams, and you tend to just, put a like when you see the message. That's not enough communication. Many times, a lot can get lost in translation. So, especially
Yes.
these days, really communicate more. Try to be more personal. Try to have more calls, online meetings. Make your way through it, but communicate, please.
Yeah, and there's a balance there too, right? When you're I mean, I remember being in corporate and thinking, oh my heavens, there are just way too many meetings, and I don't have enough time to do the work I need to do, right? So there needs to be a balance there.
Hmm.
But the key here is finding ways to communicate what you're thinking, feeling, and expecting, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
As a leader, so that your team communicates back in a
Hmm.
way that provides transparency
Hmm.
for everyone, right? So everybody knows what's going on.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's important. You just reminded me that many people they usually nowadays say, well, another meeting that could have been an email. And I
yeah,
get it, because many meetings they could really distract your time, and as you said, then you're unable to actually do anything. So there should
right.
be always balance.
Yeah,
But many meetings they are basically inflamed. So there's way too many people, and not everyone needs to be there. So
right, right.
meetings you need to plan who you communicate, what you communicate, and who should be there. And it's
Who you
usually
invite, that's
rather
right.
less people than
Mm.
more.
Yeah.
So that's another huge topic, how to set good meetings.
Well, it's so interesting. I mean, we're talking about a lot of different aspects of being a good leader here.
Mhm, mhm.
And it's not an easy role. There's a
No.
delicate balance, and the leader, if we go back to where we started in this conversation, if the leader knows who they are, if they are
Mhm,
self-aware, if they know what they believe in,
mhm,
if they show up authentically, standing in that,
mhm.
and are vulnerable and transparent, then the way to operate as a leader within an organization where meetings are concerned, and when do we have a meeting, who should come to the meeting, or when should we communicate in some other fashion on a on a board that allows for collaborative uh, inputs,
Mhm.
and or emails or phone calls or Zoom meetings or whatever. Then that's when the operational side of it, you can figure it out as a
Yes,
team.
absolutely, yes, yeah.
Yeah. But showing up as the leader who can do that, that's what starts from within.
Yeah,
So let's
you need
yeah,
to put some structure into your thoughts, but also into how you work with others. And again, it's communication. So you can start with brainstorming how you want to work with others, and then you expand it, and then you can ask other people. So my idea of working with you guys is this. Do you agree? Would you change anything? And then you have the solution, and it's so much easier than when you're just pushing one
right, right.
standardized way.
So
Mm-hmm.
you're setting expectations, and you have the opportunity, everyone has the opportunity to contribute to
Mm-hmm.
setting the goal, right? The collective goal. And
Yes.
the expectations for everyone just kind of fall from that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that comes again back to understanding yourself that you are not, perfect. You don't have to have all the answers.
Right.
Your role
Right.
is maybe rather put people together and come up with solutions together, and
Yeah.
well, help them to communicate in a less detached way and less like, well, this is how it is supposed to be way, but rather
Right.
more
Right.
authentically. Because
Right.
many people, they enter the office and they slide into a role and they think, well, feedback should be only positive, or meetings should be only like this. And that's not really necessary. So it's more about the situation,
Right.
more about who you communicate with. So you're changing your style all the time. So you should be able to do that at work as well. So
So
you don't have
let's
to
talk
be
about that. Yeah, I
yeah.
love what you just said. You're changing your style all the time. This is an evolutionary process, isn't it? It's like
Yes.
continuous learning and continuous self-reflection.
Hmm.
And you talked about, journaling and feedback,
Hmm.
how those all play a role
Hmm.
in this journey of becoming an effective leader,
Hmm.
right? So let's just talk about the how important that is, being open to that continuous learning and self-reflection.
Hmm. Yeah, it's not easy to be constantly open to learning because it is a full-time job to learn all the time. But
Yeah.
just having that mindset of yes, I'm taking into consideration different inputs, I'm reading, discussing different topics with other people, I'm listening podcast, I'm listening, for instance, even tonight, then it makes you think. And these little inputs, they are somehow shaping the way how you communicate with others. And maybe you even don't realize, but if you pick up one thing here and there every day, then you are evolving as a leader, as a professional, as a person, because leadership is not just professional, but you are also a leader at home when you are
Right.
maybe parent even, then you're definitely applying some leadership toolkit as well. So it's really being open to all different ideas and think, well, maybe this is what I could try, or, well, this is interesting, maybe I should explore it more. And when you feel that you are tired, then okay, just skip that lesson for today and maybe do it tomorrow. But don't press yourself to learn, because learning should really come naturally and should come from different resources. So don't take that leadership is just about attending 1 day training once a year, because that's not the case. It's about back again, working with others, listening to them, caring about what they think, being basically placed in that social circles, even at home or in sport club, at school, with your friends, just being out there and, let it happen to you, for you.
I love what you just said. We are all leaders of our
Mhm.
lives, right? So the leadership uh, skills and qualities that we've talked about today are ones that we apply in every aspect of our lives.
Yes,
And as our parents get older and we start caring for them, we are a leader for them,
totally.
right? We are an advocate for them. Advocates are leaders. There are many different roles or titles that you could put on it, but
Hmm.
the qualities that you need, the skills you need to step into that role
Hmm.
are leadership qualities. We lead
Hmm.
our families,
Hmm.
right? We guide our children, we guide our team.
Hmm.
So thinking about leadership as, it's all you're only a leader if you work in corporate or you have your own business and you have a team.
Hmm.
It's way bigger than that. And
Hmm.
no matter what kind of leader you are, it all begins with understanding yourself first.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you wrapped it up pretty nicely. Indeed, it is that way. So you have to realize that you are leader of your life.
Yeah,
That's really the message about understanding yourself. So don't care about titles, don't care about career ladder, because that's just one thing in your life.
yeah,
But you have so many other roles that you are fulfilling every single day. So, as you mentioned, it could be a parent, it could be that your daughter, that you're taking care of your parents,
yep.
that you have your partner, that you have your dog. Everywhere
Oh
you are
no, my
dedicated.
dog leads me. There is no, I don't lead my
I
dog.
can imagine. So everywhere there are leadership qualities. Everywhere you are self-aware of how you are showing up. It's not just work. And
Yeah,
wherever you learn some skills, well, you can use them anywhere. It's really
yeah,
universal. So seeing really leadership as one way, having team, having title is simplistic. So choose to see it in a bigger picture, choose to see that you are a leader of your life and that you have the choice. I think that's very important. You always have
right.
that choice. You don't
Yeah.
have to be angry about something. You can choose to let it be and go with the day and be happy, stress free, even if you have very difficult chores. So that's fine, but just choose it and work on your feelings towards that choice.
I love all of what you just said. It's so true. And choice is, we get to decide,
Hmm.
right? We get to declare
Hmm.
how we show up. And we get to teach others how to treat us as a result.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, you have to tell
Yeah.
them. Otherwise, they don't know.
That's right. That's right. All right, Ivona, I've loved this conversation with you, but we do need to wrap it up here. I know we've done probably what seemed like a couple of wrap ups already, but I want to leave the real wrap up to you. So help us just tie this one in a bow. Give us your key takeaways or, your three best tips that we can leave our audience with today.
Mhm. So obviously we discussed a lot. So I'm very happy that we have done this interim summarization. But really, what I feel that the takeouts are is the first thing first. Start with yourself. Understand yourself. Work on your emotional levels. prepare for whatever is coming your way because you will deal with it much better. So be aware of those triggers of positive, negative, whatever emotions, and learn to work with them. So that would be the one, prepare, understand, and just be ready for whatever comes your way. The second is communicate. Communicate rather more than less. Express what you think. Don't let your thoughts to hinder you back, but rather say the things as they are. If you have to obviously apologize, if you feel bad, well, tell others why you feel bad. So simply communicate in a human way, and well, be happy about that you are communicating because it's a huge part of what people are doing every day. So be happy that you are able to communicate with yourself and with the other people. So use that opportunity, use that language, and be open. And the last but not least is really be open to all different experiences that are contributing to your leadership journey, because you, my lovely audience and people, you are leaders of your life. So take that choice to see it this way and make some steps to the point that you feel happy about your choice. So see that there's no one path that is set up for you, but play the way that you feel it's right at that moment for you. Don't play it safe, but play by what you would choose. And yeah, that would be my three takeaways.
I love that. I love that. So there's so many good nuggets here. And I know that there are going to be people who are going to want to reach out to you and learn more about you and from you, Ivona. So please let's share the one best way for them to get in touch with you and learn more about you.
Mhm. So I would recommend visiting my website, which is ivonahirschi.com. And there you can find more information about what I do. And there's obviously a contact form. So please use it if you have questions. I'm always happy to help as much as I can.
Thank you, Ivona. I've been inspired by this conversation. I've enjoyed having it with you. Thank you again so much for coming to us from your home in Switzerland on this evening for you. I
Thank you
really
for having me. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
That's good. Thank you. It's my honor. And for those watching and listening, I appreciate that you're a part of this community. So if you enjoyed the episode, please leave us a comment, click a star, and let us know what you liked about it. And as I said at the top of the show, I love creating and sharing resources for women. And as a career and life coach, I help women navigate challenging times more gracefully. So if something in this episode resonates and you would like a fresh perspective, reach out and let's chat about it. The links to connect with Ivona and me are in the show notes below. And then let's meet again next Thursday, same time at 10 a.m. Pacific time for another inspiring conversation. Because you know what? I believe it's our time to thrive. So let's thrive together. Till then, I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan, helping you turn transition into triumph.